Most companies get slower as they scale, not boost. In this conversation, CEO Herman Haraldsson takes us inside a public company that's kept its startup DNA alive and used it to win in the hyper-competitive world of online retail. What does it take to build agility into corporate structure? And can innovation truly thrive after IPO?
Good morning. When I told my 18-year-old daughter that I was speaking today, and it was 9 minutes, she says, okay, it's kind of a TikTok conference you are doing. I said, hey, I guess you're right. Okay, a bit about Boozt. We launched Boozt.com in August 2011, so we are almost exactly 14 years old. We launched our second store, Booztlet, which is outlet in 2015. We broke even in 2016. And in 2016, our biggest shareholders, which were two VCs, Sunstone Capital, who are now Hardcore, and Verdane, they started to talk about exit. And then we discussed, this exit, when should it be? We went for kind of a dual track, IPO track, and a sale, either a trade sale or to a PE fund. And we went for the IPO track because basically we were kind of fed up with having this troika talks with general partners and industry experts, etc. So we want to have full freedom. So we went for the IPO, and we did an IPO in Stockholm in 2017, and then we did a dual listing in Copenhagen in 2020, and have been kind of dual listed since then. Until recently, we were the most valuable e-commerce company in the Nordics, but e-commerce has been under a bit of attack recently, so we are slightly down for the moment, like my favorite football team. 8.2 billion SEK in revenues and 5.7% in EBIT margin last year, actually making us the most profitable margin-wise e-commerce company in our business in Europe. When we started, and we were like 5 guys who started, it was very important to us to build a strong culture, and we built it on kind of 3 pillars: trust, freedom, and responsibility. And most of you are Nordics, and you can see that these are core Nordic values. So we've very much built kind of a Nordic company, and we did not have much money to begin with. So we couldn't afford to hire people, so we needed kind of to run with trust, hiring the right people and giving them space to grow and make decisions, and give them full freedom as long as they were acting in Boozt's best interest. We spiced it up with a concept that we called the KY culture, and it's basically based on that kind of when a person starts in a job, it could be in customer service. They know what, then you have the know why. So okay, I'm going to be taking calls or answering emails. And then they go through a phase called what we call the know what, which is the basically they know how to answer the calls and service the customer. And then in the end, it's the know why. So basically, why am I do this? Yes, because I know if my customer is satisfied, there's a high likelihood that they will come back and buy again. What actually painfully few go through is what we call the KY, when you go beyond what is expected of you. Basically, if you pick up paper from the floor. As you know, when we are in the warehouse, our warehouse director, he makes a test when he's having new employees, basically noticing, does he or she pick up garbage from the floor? If they do, they care. If they don't, maybe they're not the right people. So this is the mindset that we've been running the company from the beginning, and it's kind of served us quite well, and every employee talks about the KY concept. But again, as you're growing, because it's easy to be kind of 5, 10, 20 people have this KY concept, stuff like that, because you know everyone. Most people have a stake, have a skin in the game, but it's more difficult kind of when you get to 100, 200, maybe 500 people, how to kind of keep this startup mentality. And I didn't really know how to articulate what we're trying to accomplish until I stumbled upon this figure. I guess most of you know it. Probably most of you have been using it, the founder's mentality from Bain, which is actually a really, really good description of what we believe is the right kind of startup mentality. And the way I kind of interpret it is kind of 3 key things. one is kind of skin in the game. You want people to have skin in the game, either by kind of be co-investing, by having a strong incentive structure, or basically, skin in the game. The second thing is what we call, kind of don't accept common wisdom in the industry. We were 5 guys that started Boozt. None of us had ever worked in fashion. So there was a lot of people telling us, this is what you should do. And we did a lot of stuff that we kind of did not know. And there was a lot of stuff that we did not know not to do, right? So we challenged the industry, conventional wisdom. We were extremely good operators and basically kind of didn't know what we're doing, but some way scrambled along and did the right thing because we were obsessed with reducing friction for the customer. Use technology to reduce friction and use technology to also reduce friction for the staff. When we were planning the IPO, that was kind of a breaking point because a lot of people said to us, yeah, now you're going to do an IPO, then things will change. And the IPO will change everything. You have to be compliant. NASDAQ, they have the rule, stock market regulations, communications. Basically, they said you will become more corporate. And the way I interpreted it was saying that, guys, then you will need to grow up. Hell no, we said. We can do both. So what we did was, okay, the IPO or the compliance stuff, it's really, really boring. You can hire experts to do that. You can hire investor relations people to do that. You can hire people in the finance team who make sure that you are extremely compliant towards kind of what is required to be a listed company. And then, basically, we doubled down on our startup mentality. Made sure that kind of we emphasized staying a startup, emphasized the founders mentality. My role changed a bit because I'm no longer in kind of doing all the bits and pieces. I used to call myself kind of the machinist, greasing the oils and the machinery, but I'm more focused on communicating the kind of the values and the founder mentality, being the owner mindset, the insurgency and the frontline obsession. And basically, I don't know how many of you have seen the old Gladiator movie. You want to be Maximus in the opening scene where he's kind of with his staff and then he's running frontline and attacking the enemy. And this is also why I would say the most important learning that we made is that don't be intimidated by your IPO. A lot of people say, okay, now we have an IPO and we need to kind of become compliant, we need to become corporate. The thing is that when we talk to investors, it might be in the US, in the UK or France or Germany, they invest in the startup that you made. They invest in the mindset that you have created. And they're not investing in compliance, IR, or stuff like that. That's just table stakes and license to operate, but it doesn't give you any competitive advantage. So I know it's easier kind of to say this when you are the founding CEO, because you can get away with saying stupid stuff that might not be kind of compliant. But still, I think that's key kind of to maintain that and being a bit non-compliant. And I think that if you do kind of if you think that the IPO will make you corporate, then it will. But if you think that you will not change and focus on the things that matter, then your company's immune system will start fighting bureaucracy and not innovation and change. And I've got the stop sign, so 9 minutes. Thank you.